with me in studio is our international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert. Douglas, the text, it hasn't been made public, but a lot of the details have been leaked out. It suggests there's still a lot, really, that members of Parliament in the UK are going to object to, the things that they've objected to in the past.
Yeah, and look, we're not even at the Parliament yet. We're right now at the cabinet level, right? Literally what Theresa May has been doing is this is a full court press, right? Last night, this morning, she has been one by one bringing her cabinet members. Remember, a deeply divided, I can't stress enough, deeply divided cabinet into her office at 10 Downing Street, basically showing them they can't take it out of 10 Downing Street, this draft agreement. And let's underscore draft, OK? It's an agreement that basically the EU says, OK, Prime Minister, you can take this to London. You can show this to them. But it's really, no one's fully comfortable with it yet. They're going to look at it. Today, the cabinet's going to get together, and what she's aiming to do is get them to actually sign off on this draft so that she could continue with this whole train, this process. It is a very tough slog for Theresa May. Why? We've already seen two pro-Brexit ministers in her cabinet resign over the summer. We saw Boris Johnson, former Foreign Secretary, out of there. We saw David Davis, the Brexit secretary, the man who was charged with overseeing the UK's Brexit negotiations. He was out of there because they saw this deal as unacceptable betrayal of the UK's sovereignty. They were pro-Brexit. But you still have in the cabinet people with a lot of concerns. You have ministers, you can go down a full list of them, who have been, including the Foreign Minister, Jeremy Hunt, including Sajid Javid, who's the Home Secretary. The list goes on and on. Each one has to be convinced that this has enough impetus behind it to be able to sell to the party, to the Parliament, and to the country. And let me tell you, the critics are lined up in droves. This is what some people are already calling an epic fudge of a deal, which is DOA, dead on arrival.
Because it's true, Douglas, I was jumping ahead of myself there because we're already getting reactions from members of Parliament saying, no way, from what they're hearing and seeing, this is not what they want. Indeed, if Theresa May pulls it through Cabinet this Wednesday, it's just the first of quite a lot of hurdles ahead of her.
Look, the first hurdle is there's going to be an EU summit. Yesterday I was saying, well, the likelihood of that happening this month, not too great. It looks like there will be an EU summit this month. The problem is what the summit, sort of weighing and balancing. It looks like there'll probably be a summit. I'm saying it by the end of the month, probably November 25th, at which the EU and EU leaders supposedly and capitals will have to also sign off on this agreement. They'll consider it. It's then going to have to come back. The European Parliament is going to have to consider this deal. And then, and this is where it really gets, Theresa May will be in knee-deep mud here, slogging through it when it goes before the British Parliament. It's almost too long a litany, a list to lay out all the forces arrayed against her, both on the side of hard Brexiteers, the pro-Brexit people, that want nothing to do with any deal that smacks a smidgen of any concessions to Europe or anything that looks like the UK in any way, shape or form will remain subject to European rules and regulations in a customs union, in a single market, so on and so forth. So you have that on one side. But on the other side, you have all of the pro-Europeans. A lot of the people who are fervent Remainers, who think that Brexit is one of the worst, most fatal errors in British state diplomatic history, and that it's basically shooting the entire country, shooting itself in the foot. They are waiting. They are waiting with bated breath for this pact to come before, this withdrawal agreement to come before Parliament so that they can have their say and what they want. And here are the key words for our viewers to remember, all of us to remember. The Parliament is demanding on both sides a meaningful vote. What does meaningful mean? It means that they cannot just take a take it or leave it agreement and vote yes or no, up or down. They want to be able to table amendments, motions. And this is where it gets interesting because, as you can imagine, the pro-Europeans, the critics of this Brexit deal would like that to be the opportunity to call for a second referendum. Watch this space today, tomorrow, and for the next 1,000 years.
I was just about to say, for a long, long time to come, it sounds like. Douglas Herbert, thanks a lot for that insight.